I started 3D printing in 2021 and I've made a lot of mistakes. And yes, mistakes help you grow, but it's also helpful if people just told you those mistakes, especially if they're simple mistakes. So today I'm gonna talk about the mistakes that I made when I first started 3D printing. Let's get started. The first mistake that I made was just not YouTubing, not researching enough. So even if people were putting their biggest mistakes out there, I just wasn't looking for it. Maybe I didn't think about it because the algorithm wasn't feeding me 3D printing videos at that time, but there was definitely stuff out there that I could have researched to know like what are the right things and the wrong things that I should be doing. The second mistake that I make is not reading the print profiles thoroughly or correctly. And it's not a mistake that I'm always making, but like very early on, I just didn't realize that the descriptions are super helpful. I wasn't using Maker World at the time because I had a FlashForge Adventurer 3. So on things like Thingiverse or Printables, there are descriptions that explain to you if something's a little more complicated. And I just failed to read them sometimes. The most recent example of me not reading the print profile is one for a manual fan and two for this. This one listed out exactly which hardware I needed, what size rubber band or whatever, and it also had links. I literally just had to take 5 seconds and all the information was there, including links to buy them. And for the manual fan, it literally said to lubricate it in order to use it, and I just didn't realize that. So it took me way too long to realize. And if the print profile isn't good, then make sure to look at the comments. Sometimes a print isn't exactly what it's cut out to be, so reading the comments is super helpful. So definitely read the comments. And along the same line, I would say mistake number 3 that I've made like way too many times is not measuring. You were taught to measure twice, cut once, right? But I feel like even at that, I'm not the greatest. Sometimes I overthink things and I'm over measuring and I'm overdoing things. But for 3D printing, for some reason, it escapes my mind to, wait, is that actually gonna work for the thing that I think it's gonna work for? So measuring is absolutely necessary. So literally try to keep your calipers handy and just double check, measure, and make sure that the thing that you're gonna print is actually the right size. Now, a couple of things that I know are out there and people mention them in mistake videos all the time is not cleaning the print bed. I've done that way too many times, or I let it sit too long. So I would say try to clean it every like 2 weeks, maybe every week, with soap and water. Sometimes I wipe down the print bed with alcohol and a microfiber towel. But that's only if I knew I touched it and only if I haven't touched it a lot. For the most part, if I want to clean it, re-glue if I'm going to use glue, I always wash it with soap and water. It's just the best way to do it, in my opinion. I've wasted too much filament and time by not cleaning the print bed and also not watching the first layer. And that's the next mistake. The first layer is where you'll see any adhesion issues. So you can save yourself a ton of filament if you see that the first layer just isn't right, and you can stop it, take it off, wipe the print bed down, and start over. And most of the time, these printers have cameras on them, and you can just keep an eye on it for the first layer and then go on about your day. I don't feel like you need to babysit your prints. We have cameras on them. Plus, I don't feel like we should be inhaling the fumes, right? So just keep an eye on it. Next, one of the mistakes that I made really early on, and it cost me way too much headache, was refilling a filament spool. There's instructions out there. They're very clear, but I decided, oh, I can handle refilling a filament spool. Didn't realize there's notches. Didn't realize you needed to line it up. I tried to close it, it wouldn't close, and the spool fell apart. And it was black, so I used black a lot. And every time I wanted to print, I tried to measure out exactly a specific amount of filament, put it in a specific spool, and then print. And then I would constantly run out of filament because I've always estimated it wrong. And it was just a huge headache because I wasn't gonna let that filament just go to waste. So I ended up using it, and I still might have some random parts of black PLA just laying around that I didn't get to fully use. This is currently one of my filaments that got undone, and so I'm still holding on to it because I'm still going to use it at some point. When you're refilling a filament spool, just make sure to do it correctly. All right, so I've just run out of black, and I'm gonna refill this. That's a Sunloo refillable spool, and this is a Sunloo refill. So first things first, undo this. Make sure to take off any tape that it has, and then simply unscrew it. Then look for that notch. You see it right there. Then look for that notch, and you match it up so it can't move. And then usually refills come with these labels, like replacement labels. And then with Sunloo specifically, there's this arrow. You see it? That little arrow right there. And there's an arrow on this side as well, right there. So we're gonna line up those arrows and then lock it in, and that's it. And don't take these things off until you get it in there and fully locked. And then once it's locked, just pull them out. The next mistake that I made a little too many times to count, was not drying your filament. And granted, part of this was because the dryer that I did buy when I first started, I didn't realize that it had enough sealing power. It had holes galore, not holes galore. Let me show you. It just didn't feel like it sealed really tightly. Yes, there is a gasket in there, but these things, one of them fell out, and I ended up trying to seal it by putting sticky tape in that hole. It just never went below 40%. And I didn't know the percentages of what PETG should be or what TPU should be. And that was the main reason why I even bought this to begin with, is for my PETG and my TPU. And it just wasn't doing the job. Plus, I don't know that I knew that I needed to use desiccant. I thought the dryer in and of itself would take care of drying it correctly. I may not have read the instructions. Yeah, I'm one of those. So you absolutely have to dry PETG and TPU for sure. And if you're starting to see some stringing with your PLA, then dry it as well. And always keep it stored in desiccant. The bin that I originally got is just a regular storage bin. But if you can, and you should, buy one of those storage cans, but with a gasket on it. And make sure to put in a lot of desiccant. This is currently how I have my filament stored, and it's literally in this plastic bin, but I currently don't have a storage solution with a gasket. So what I ended up doing was, instead of doing that, was putting it in vacuum sealed containers with desiccant. So if you can't afford a storage solution with a gasket that's a little more airtight, I would definitely do the vacuum sealed bags with desiccant, of course. So make sure to buy a good dryer box. I'll leave a link in the description for a Polymaker, or you can make your own dryer box. Make sure to subscribe, because in one of my next videos, I explore the different types of dry boxes you can create and a few other tools that you could 3D print yourself. And last, my biggest mistake was not realizing that PLA and PETG are just not friendly with each other. If you have an AMS and you have the ability to put PLA and PETG in the same machine, and you don't have like a tool head changing type of AMS, do not try to print in one sit down PLA and PETG, because it will clog your nozzle. Trust me, I learned the hard way. Though the time that this happened, I don't think it was a PLA PETG thing. It was just the nozzle was clogged. So what I would suggest for you not to experience that is doing cold pulls, maybe on a regular basis, but especially if you're switching the filament types. Even going from matte PLA to regular PLA, and going from PETG to PLA or vice versa. And a cold pull is really simple. I don't understand why they call it a cold pull, because you are going to heat the hot end. To do a cold pull on the Bamboo X1C, I would first home the tool head. And while it's doing that, I take this off. Once it's all home, then I just bring the plate down That's not fully necessary, it's just to get myself a little more room. Once that's done, in the settings, I just go to the nozzle head and set it to 220. Wait for it to heat up. And while I'm waiting for it to heat up, I just take the front cover off. I usually just hang it here. And then you want to take the PTFE tube off. Then you want to go ahead and take off the PTFE screw. You just put in a piece of filament using the extruder, right? You push it in using the extruder, and you want to keep pushing it through until you see the new color. Since I'm starting to see some orange, you can pull it out using the extruder. So you're not really pulling it either. I don't know why it's called a cold pull, but then it just cleans out any residue. And usually I just use a clean piece of PLA to do this. And that's it. You can see that it pulls off some leftover filament. I didn't even learn that the last time that I got my nozzle clogged. I learned that when I was trying to print some TPU, and it definitely helped my nozzle not get clogged anymore. Though it did clog again, and I had to buy a new printed. We're gonna keep making mistakes, but it's okay because mistakes are how we grow. And if you do make mistakes, make sure to share it because other people can learn from the mistakes that you've made. So go out there, keep printing, print functional things, and make sure to make your home your own.